All right, we are recording.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen. And let me get into Command. So I'm on my dashboard in Command. So I'm going to go to the Opportunities applet, the one that we were at yesterday. And I'm going to find the opportunity. I believe I have it under here, the test one. So I clicked on active and I'm going to be working with my man Jerry Command. So I'm going to click on the opportunity name right here. That's how I get into, I think of this as like the client folder. Blake also said this is like the client or the transaction like dashboard for the specific client. So the first thing you want to do is you definitely want to go into this detail section here in Command and fill out any information that you have. Docusign does pull some of this information, and as the sync kind of gets stronger, it will pull over more information. So whatever you put in here in this detail section, right now I think it pulls over the contact information. Eventually it pull over the property information. So I always say get in the habit of putting this property information here in this little box. So I'm going to click this little pencil right here and click on edit and just go ahead and put, you know, an address in there. I'm going to select it from the drop down and it should fill everything out. So I'm going to hit save. The next one is seller profile. So this kind of links with the app. So if this client has my app downloaded, you'll see kind of what they're doing on the app. You'll see if you have a seller guide set up or buyer guide set up, you'll see kind of where they're at with that. And we will get into that later on in the series. All right, next is documents. So this is where you're going to be getting into Docusign. There is a lot of confusion around this, and I kind of want to explain it real quick. So these, a lot of people think these are the actual documents, and these are not. These are actual placeholders for those documents. So I'm not sure if Inglewood has this, but at Keller Williams and Lakewood Ranch, we have kind of like a checklist of what documents you need. Think of this as kind of like your checklist. So by each document, you'll see if it's required, you'll see if it's optional, and you'll see if it's conditionally required. And if it's conditionally required, it will tell you if it's required, then kind of the scenario of if it's required. So you have 3 different folders. You have a listed folder, an under contract folder, which has the executed contract kind of placeholder in there. And then you have the closed folder over here to the left. And you can create a custom folder. So these 3 folders up here are for compliance review. Anything else you want to keep in here, maybe like a pre-approval letter or, you know, what else you might need that we don't need? Maybe the inspection report, anything like that, that we necessarily don't need to see as a compliance part can go in these custom folders. So I just wanted to walk through that real quick. Now we're going to get into Docusign. So over here to the right, you'll see start a transaction. Once you click on that, if you don't have Dotloop connected, it will take you right to Docusign. So I'm just going to click on Docusign.
Inglewood, our Docusign connection is working now, so this will work for us.
I already logged in this morning, so it won't have me re-log in. It might pop up a login window for you. One other thing to note is if your pop-up blocker is on, it might not open this under other window, so just make sure your pop-up blocker is off, and then it will open up that login screen for you. So we are going to go into this detail section over here to the left. So what this did when we clicked on start a transaction is it created a room for this particular transaction. So it will have the opportunity name right here. And a room is the same thing as a loop in Dotloop. So it's just, you know, where you're going to store your documents, where you can edit them, get them signed, all that stuff. All right, so like I said, we're going to get into this detail section. This is where that autofill comes in. So like I said, it does bring some information over. It brings in the seller information, his phone number, email, and his name. Eventually it will start bringing over the address and more information that you put in that detail section in command. So like I said, this is the autofill information. So to fill in this information, you're going to click this edit button up here on the upper right. And then you'll see you can go in and edit this information. So I'm just going to put the address in there. You can put the property type, year built. So any information in here that you put will show up on, you know, the listing agreement, the contract. More information you know, the better, the more that contract will be filled. So you just go through here, excuse me, fill out any information that you know, the listing agent, the buying agent, all this, seller, the buyer, all the people over on the right-hand side. Most of the contract information would be here in the middle, like the property address, the closing details, any, listing information you want to put in there. Once you are done, you're going to hit, where's my save button? Is it all the way at the bottom?
Yeah, at the bottom.
Maybe my thing's blocking it.
Yeah, there's a button.
My thing was blocking it. There it goes. When you're done, you're going to hit the save button. And what are we doing tomorrow? We're adding a document, right?
Yes. Tomorrow we are adding documents and filling them out. Yep.
Okay. So then we're going to wait for you to see what it looks like tomorrow after I put those details in, because we're going to show you how to add the document and fill in any, blanks that it hasn't pulled in from that detail section, maybe things that you didn't enter. So that's all I have today. Is there anything you want to add, Blake?
No, this is the good first step. If you're in Inglewood, we are going to be moving away from .loop. We are not renewing the contract, so you have about 2 months left of .loop. So I would definitely suggest getting used to Docusign and going in there and creating autofill details for right now, and then when we're through this series, creating rooms inside of Docusign.
You just said that there's things that we can pre-fill. Are you talking about just our information kind of thing? And where was that at?
Nope. So the autofill information is on this detail section. So whatever you put in this detail section, these like little different things are linked to certain areas in the or the contract or the listing agreement. So those will autofill in those listing agreements and the contracts and stuff like that.
I got you. Here's where you put it in, and it autofills the Docusign.
Correct. Yep. It will autofill all the documents for you.
Yep.
The more details you put in, the easier it is to fill out a document.
Mm-hmm. And I've had some people question, like, do I have to go in through command to, get into my Docusign room? If you have it set up, hold on, this thing gets in the way. If you have it set up already where you clicked on go to transaction or start a transaction, once the room has been created, the link is now created between Docusign and command. So you don't have to go through command once that room is already created. So if you need to go back into Docusign to add a document real quick, you don't have to go through command. You can just log in directly to Docusign once that link has been created through command already. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, Samantha, if you have multiple buyers, multiple sellers, okay, do you have to fill out a different detail or seller profile for each person, like husband and wife?
So the detail section, you have seller 1 and seller 2, buyer 1 and buyer 2. So if I were to have the husband and wife right now, I only have Jerry here. If I would have added a co-seller or co-buyer, their information would have come over as well into the.
Okay.
And let me see.
Most of my contacts where I have a husband or wife, I put them in as a single unit. Is that, I shouldn't do that?
You can, it really depends on the agent. Keller Williams created a way where you can link them if you wanted to make them 2 separate contacts, but it's totally up to the agent and how they want their database to be organized.
Because in the end, you're going to be going to that fill detail or that details page in Docusign and entering in the people who are on the deed.
Right, and that's not a big deal. I hope to do that 30 or 40 times a year.
Right. And it will pull them, it might pull them over, you know, if you have their first name, John and Amber, it might look funky. So you'll have to change that in that detail.
Well, and one of the things I've learned, you can't write John and Amber. You have to use the symbol and, because otherwise, once you hit save, their first name is Ann.
Oh.
But you do need to create 2 different, you will need 2 separate email addresses, which will force you to create 2 different contacts because you cannot get a husband and wife per se to sign under the same email address.
Oh.
That's correct. In Docusign, you'll have to add 2 separate emails in Docusign, but if you wanted to keep them together in Command, you still can do that. You'll just have to manually change it in Docusign.
For database purposes, it's fine to lump them together, but when you go to contract your 30 or 40 times per year, Alan, you are going to have to break them out and separate them before you can create the contract.
Right. Yeah, I may want to go back in while I've got time and go ahead and make them individual content. It'll make my database look bigger.
Yeah, right.
I'll get a boost right there. All right. I understand the value of separating them now. I'll do that.
All right. So this is your first taste of Docusign. Tomorrow we're going to be adding a document, filling that document out. And then what's today? Thursday, we're going to be showing you how to send it out for signatures.
Good.
Does anyone have
I actually tried this one time, did a little test. I got to the point where, and I'm not sure, I guess I must have been working with Susan because I got to a point where, or maybe it was just one of the videos where you don't want to send this to your center because this is a test. This isn't real. Don't send it. Don't send it. And I'm like, okay, I got you. So I went through it. But obviously, it's one of those things until I do it a half a dozen times, it will not be natural. It will just be, yeah. I can't wait to yeah, great.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, we will see everyone tomorrow.
Great.
See you tomorrow, everybody.
Tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.